Ladies and gentlemen, I just finished watching The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, Season 3, Episode 7. This is the finale. It's titled SOLAZ Del Mar. And, I'm going to be honest, I don't have that many complaints with this episode. I actually thought this was a pretty solid finale to the season. There are some things that I'm going to get into that really piss me off about it later, but not as much like, oh, this sucks. More just like, as a viewer, I was like, fuck, like, I wish that happened. Like, I was excited for something to happen, and then they told a story that just didn't exactly pan out the way I wanted. So it's not as much complaints as it is as a viewer. I'm kind of with the characters like, shit, that sucks. Does that make sense? Not as much complaints. There are a couple things that I don't like, but whatever. We're going to get into it. This episode was basically an A plot of Daryl saving Justina and a B plot of Carol saving Antonio and where those stories went. And I actually thought this one was pretty good. I don't know exactly the name of the town. I forget the name of it, the town that Daryl went to. It's like L whatever the fuck. I don't know the name of it. L something. He went with that girl. She was saving her, like, best friend, girlfriend sort of thing, and he was saving Justina and the girls that were offered in the La Ofrenda. So that was that, and I thought that was a really interesting A-plot. And then, again, like I said, the B-plot was Carol going back to SOLAZ Del Mar and getting Antonio back, and what came of that. On paper, it sounds like a good finale, and I think, honestly, it was for this season. We're obviously going to be doing a season review, and it's easier for me to talk about the season at large there, but just in short, I actually did like this season. This is like still C-class TV for me. It's not a great show by any means, but this is way better than season 2, and I don't know that I'd say it's on par with season 1, but it did feel like a return to form to what I initially really liked about Daryl Dixon in season 1, just now in a totally different area. So we're gonna save a lot of my feelings for the season in that review, but I just wanted to preface it with that, and I think this finale kind of helped me solidify that. This was a good season. I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad. There were questionable decisions. There were things that pissed me off, like the idea that they never ever bring up Rick Grimes' name like it's like saying like a bad word. You know what I mean? Like, they never bring it up. It's like saying Voldemort. I don't know why they refuse to say it. Whatever. Anyway, before any of that happens, we did get the return of Codron, which I thought was awesome because this entire season, which I've never talked about in my reviews, but this entire season, I'm like, what the hell happened to him? Because literally just like the last episode of that horrible season of season 2, he just went off like this and like ran away. Like that was a horrible ending for him. So I'm glad he's finally back. I mean, obviously it is a little bit contrived that he just shows up in the nick of time in Spain. Like, okay. I don't know. I kind of thought it'd be interesting if they did like an after the credits sort of thing, kind of like what they did with Morgan in the earlier seasons of The Walking Dead, where you saw him slowly return and how he got there. But nope. He's just here. He runs into the puzzle that Daryl left on the statue in support of Laurent. And there he is, just in the nick of time for their boat to go on fire, which goes, shocking. Of course that happens, because we never want to get these characters home. But whatever, I'm glad they finally brought him into the picture, because I did like his character, and I do think having him back in it gives it that connective tissue to the original premise of the show. And also, his addition is just great. It's welcome. I think it's also going to be a bridge, possibly, to get them back home in a way that isn't a boat catching on fire, which happens later in the episode. But anyway, so that was the first thing. Great to see him back. Then it immediately cuts to what they're doing in terms of the story. So, they start by Daryl. I don't remember the exact order, who starts, whatever. Essentially, for the A-plot, Daryl goes into L whatever the fuck, and he saves Justina. And I thought it was done really well. It was really cool to see the way they shot it, wherein Daryl has to go in and basically, in almost like an Inglourious Bastard style fashion, they're all in a theater watching a Walker show of some kind, where the walkers are all puppeteered. I thought it was really goofy at first. I was like, what the this is like classic like sci-fi shit. But then when they did it in a way that was kind of like Inglourious Bastards, where Daryl cuts them all down, the walkers infiltrate, they attack everyone, and then Daryl lights the place on fire, I thought it was pretty cool. It was definitely a nice little call towards Inglourious Bastards, and I thought that was fun. It's a phenomenal movie if you guys haven't seen that movie. If you haven't, I'm shocked. Go see it. But whatever. Cheesy as it was, I did kind of enjoy it. It was cool. It was fun to see, and I'm glad to see that the girl that Daryl went with was able to reunite with the Queen Lady, and they were able to go. Turns out she had a kid, and they were able to go together, and I thought that was nice. I did. That was fine. Finally, some characters got like some sort of a happy ending. I enjoyed it. Do I care about these characters? No, but it was fine. It was good to see. It was also great to see that Justina was able to get out with Daryl, and then there were talks like as they escaped. Now I'm really going fast. This was a big part of the episode, but that was the premise of it. That's what happened. I'm glad to see when Justina and Daryl are officially out and safe that they're talking about how Justina and Roberto are going to come back to the United States with them. I thought that was nice. That was cool. But that was the A-plot, really. It was great to see. The Inglourious Basterds style fighting stuff was cool. It was also cool to see the King guy, Guillermo, I think his name was, or whatever. He got killed. That was good to see. Finally, because I couldn't stand him. I didn't like his face. Just pissed me off. He was always like giving a grin. Just couldn't stand, whatever. He's dead. Cool. Sweet. Done. That's the A-plot. Boom. B-plot was Carol doing the same sort of thing where she's saving someone, but this time she is saving Antonio because all of a sudden Fede turned into Hitler, and now Fede is kind of like this super bad guy, which I think is my first complaint, right? I actually really liked Fede. I thought he was a good character. I enjoyed him. He was kind of like the one character on screen that I thoroughly enjoyed that kept this story interesting to me. Was he like the best character on the planet? No, but he was a good character. I enjoyed him. Just to see his quick turn to being a really bad guy out of nowhere was like a little annoying. And then at the same time, the whole time he was doing everything, I just didn't want him to die, because I did like him, but also I just want the characters to get back home, so I knew if they didn't kill him, things would happen. But the jury's still out. They like beat him up at the end of the episode. We're going to get to that in a minute, but they like beat him up at the end of the episode. I don't think they killed him, though, unless I missed it, but I was watching. Definitely let me know in the comments. I know they beat him up. I don't think that means he's dead yet. Whatever. Anyway. I guess not, because Justina was there, and I don't think they would have wanted to kill him because of Justina. Whatever. So, essentially, Antonio is now getting tortured to death by Fede because he's a traitor who, like, let in the Americans. Now, I do also understand from Fede's perspective, right? These Americans came in, that's when everything went to shit. That's when a couple people in their army died. That's when everything about, like, what they were doing with the La Ofrenda started to go to shit. So from his perspective, these people are kind of terrorists, right? Like, I do understand that. I just think they could have, like, been a little bit more reasonable about it. He runs this town, like, he should be all about justice and morality and all that stuff, but quickly he goes from, like, fine, or, like, average, I guess, to, like, really bad, because he's then torturing Antonio by doing the thing where, like, they, like, crush him and, like, pull him. Okay, like, I don't know, that definitely bothered me, but I am glad that Carol got in and saved Antonio. And then finally, when they're free, it turns out Fede was actually doing a whole other thing to abduct Roberto, and Roberto came back to Solaz Del Mar when Carol and Antonio got away, basically. Towards the end of it, Antonio and Carol, they're caught by Fede. And Fede's basically like, you could go, you could leave. But then he's like, oh, we're going to do a public execution. He didn't say that to them. Turns out when they start to leave, Roberto's just out in the middle of the field, and they were going to publicly execute him in front of Antonio and Carol. Okay? And then it was an interesting showdown where Justina came back and was like, no, uncle, do not shoot me. and then there's like a little shootout with the walkers, but Roberto and Justina go away and they're free. And essentially, Justina rats out to everyone that Fede basically sent her away on purpose and that he was lying to the community. That's great. They put him in a dungeon. but he's only in a dungeon for a few minutes before Feide's mom essentially lets him out, because Feide's like, do you want to have a second dead son? Because, like, I'm gonna Jeffrey Epstein myself in here. Okay, so she lets him go. It jump cuts to Daryl, Carol, Justina, Roberto, Antonio, getting ready to sail away to America. They're all excited, you know, they're all ready to go. And then Daryl's off because he's talking about, he was, you know, thinking about his family and shit like that, and like Merle and all that stuff. He is just off by the boat late at night, just chilling, and out of nowhere, Feide comes in and is like, you ruined everything for me, like a classic villain in The Walking Dead. And, of course, they all get the upper hand on Feide, but not in time, because Feide's bullets just happen to shoot the boat, which somehow causes the boat to explode and catch on fire, which I thought was so stupid. But again, I'm kind of more annoyed about that as, like, a fan just, like, wanting to see the characters get home, not as much a complaint. But it is a little goofy that he shot and then the boat just, like, caught on fire and exploded. I know it hit something that ignited everything, but still, like, I just thought that was a little stupid. But then they beat up Feide, and he doesn't die. And as all this is going on, I don't think he died. But then as all of this is going on, the boat catches on fire. In the distance, you see Codron out there, and he sees all of it. So just in the nick of time, he's there for this too. But that's where the story ends. The story ends where the boat that they were using to leave gets caught on fire. It's done, so now they're shit out of luck for a way to get home, which is my worst fear coming true. But now, of course, Codron's there. So my hope for season 4 is that he is kind of like the bridge to get them back home in some way, because I don't know what else they're going to do with him other than have him just be an ally to everyone and just come back and try to help out. I truly don't know. That was the episode in a nutshell. I did enjoy it. It was really fun to watch. This was a good episode. Like, I would say that. Just annoyed at how quickly they turned Feide into this, like, really bad guy. And then now, of course, Daryl and Carol are stuck here again. Whip-de-doo. But we do know that season 4 is going to be the final season, so in some way they have to wrap this up. In some way they're gonna, I hope, have to get home. I don't know, but now we're going into a 4th season where I'm sure there's gonna be another rinse, wash, repeat. Bad guy, they have to get home, but the bad guy interferes with them getting home, so they have to save the day and then get home. But then there might be trouble on the road again. I mean, like, again, this was a good season. I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch, but, like, they just keep delaying what all of us want, and it's annoying. It's annoying. That's the best I could say. I did enjoy it, though. I did enjoy it, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Did you like this episode? Did you hate this episode? Are you somewhere in the middle? I'd love to hear from you down there. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and consider checking out the memberships on the page. We're 5 members away from doing member shoutouts on all the videos, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, with all that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video, and until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.